So the 10th anniversary is finally here. I've been excited for this one, as I'm sure everyone else is. The anniversary is always an exciting time. There's lots you can get for free, there's great opportunities to awaken mythics, all that kind of stuff. So this video is going to be going over what's in the 10th anniversary. I'm also going to talk a little bit about the monsters we've seen so far, but mostly talking about what there is, what to make sure you don't miss out on anything, all that kind of stuff. It's fairly complicated, there's a bunch to go through. I, like last year, have written a forum guide, which I'll link in the description, where you can go check out all that information, but that's pretty much what I'm going to be covering in this video. Next week I'll bring out a video which is me doing all the hatching, because I've saved a lot of gems since basically April, so I've got like 8,000 saved up. I hope to awaken a bunch of mythics, so that's what I'm going to bring out next week. But this week I am not hatching yet because there's no reason to hatch yet. It's better to see what comes out, as I'll get into as we talk through this. So there's a bunch to talk through. It's also a little bit more than just surface level information, as you'll see as we go through this. So, you know, if you think you know everything that's going on, there'll probably be a bit which you'll extract from watching this. But anyway, so going through that, like I said, I've got the guide on the forum. While recording this, I'm going to make reference my guide, and I'll go through it like that. Just add in a bit of extra stuff that's not actually in the guide, but mostly just talk around that. So the first thing to look at is these anniversary news screens. So there's 2 pages of them, and there's some free stuff to grab within that. So you want to make sure you do that. As you can see on the bottom here, we've got the special the player icons, so you can pick one of those, whichever one you want, little piggy or the penguin. And then also you can get a background for your profile page. You can choose which one of those you prefer. So you can grab those, and then there's also this login bonus, which obviously you don't collect here. This year, interestingly, it's only going for 25 days, and it's a 21 login. So last year I think we had it as like 45 days to get 21s a login, so like you basically needed to log in like half the days and you could still, not miss anything. This year you have to log in almost every day in order to get all the rewards, and the rewards are really good. There's like 200 gems here, 10 6-star tickets and 20 egg tickets that you can use in the gold egg, which is really good stuff. So those egg tickets are basically worth around, it's kind of 4 gems equivalent, but you're forced to use them in the gold egg rather than like any egg. So those 20 is basically like 80 gems, so it's kind of like 280 gems total, and then obviously a bunch of 6-star tickets. So yeah, there's that in there, which is very important to log in for. These screens are around, you can see in the top left, they're around until the 14th of November. It will vary obviously based on where you are in the world, but you need to make sure that you claim this stuff before that time. You can see I haven't yet claimed which background I want, mostly because I was waiting for this video. But yeah, looking at that, you've got to make sure you go into these screens and collect that stuff, otherwise you will miss out on it. And then the other bit here to talk through is the egg pools update. Now this, for most people, it really doesn't matter that much. I mean, mythics going from being limited, where they're like featured in particular eggs, to going into the egg pool doesn't matter that much, because the chance of them, for you hatching them is just the same, and they get featured in the gold eggs. So basically it's just, are you hatching for them in a gold egg, or are you hatching for them in another egg where it's limited monsters? So it doesn't really matter for anyone about this stuff, other than the difference with the egg tickets. We're now going to be getting egg tickets as rewards. There's a bunch in the anniversary, and we're likely going to get them in other places in the future. So that means those egg tickets can only be used on standard pool mythics. So you probably want to have like a particular 1 or 2 standard pool mythics that you want to be hatching for, that then you use your egg tickets on. So that's the only real importance there. But looking at the mythics that are added into them, they've kept the egg pools the same across all the eggs for mythics. So everywhere you're hatching, the standard pool is exactly the same. It's just getting bigger and bigger, which means you're just going to get one of the random things that are there. But yeah, there's some pretty strong ones here. These are basically very old mythics that they put into there, but some of them are really strong. They kind of held out from putting them into there because they were selling, so they could make some money from keeping them limited. But anyway, so that's that. The legendaries. The one interesting thing to note from this is they removed Wraith Captain and Leogeist. So Wraith Captain, I think they only added it in last year, and it's one of the best legendaries for PvE. and it's now been retired to the gold egg. So you can now only really get it in the gold egg, or maybe in the shop. I can't remember exactly, but I think just in gold egg. But anyways, that's a little bit of a shame because I liked Wraith Captain being in there. We want new players to get it because it's a really strong monster. And Leogai's got removed not just from the special egg but also the gold egg, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, so that's now just in the rare gold egg. It's now just in the gold egg. So if you want a Leogai as a stun counter, it might be one of your Neo ticket options, as we'll talk later. So that's the most of the noteworthy stuff here. The other really noteworthy stuff is that the legendaries going in to both egg pools are from kind of the third year of the game. That's pretty much where we've got up to in terms of, they're retiring old legendaries to go into the egg pools. And the third year of the game was the most broken era for power creep until the last 2-3 years that we've had. Because it was just before when Mythics came out and they were basically power creeping legendaries by a lot. It's when most of the most playable modern day legendaries came from. Obviously that's a bit of an exaggeration, but when I mapped it all out and I figured out like year by year how powerful the average legendaries are and like how many of them are top level and stuff, the third year has a big spike. It's like when we got Angel Lion, we got Infernicorn. Infernicorn's not like so exciting anymore, but like if you look at this list of legendaries, Nova Drake's in there. We've got Bundum. Bundum is very popular. Penguinator, Catmanda, Gyromurai. Like there's a bunch of very strong playable legendaries that have just gone into these egg pools that are no longer limited. So if you haven't got those, you'll now randomly get them at some point without trying to target them, and that's pretty cool. So that's kind of the interesting things to note about the egg pool changes. Moving on to the other free stuff, we have to go on to page 2. So page 2 has it has some details here about the anniversary shrine. Now, the anniversary shrine, I've already done it, so I can't show you it. But I mean, you should be very familiar with how shrines are these days. It's just a case of the numbers are slightly different here. So normally the biggest shrine is 500 gems. So if you're not holding 500 gems on your account at all times, you're doing the game wrong. You really need to hold that constantly. And in this anniversary, it's the same as last year. Rather than 500 gems, there's a 600 gem shrine. And then there's also a 1,200 gem shrine. So this is what really benefits if you save up gems for the anniversary. Highly recommend that you do that in the future if you did not do it this year, because that 1,200 gems, it's going to give you at least 240 gems back. And it gives you up to 1,200 gems. You're not going to get that much, but it will give you, like, say, 300 gems bonus, which is just amazing. So Anniversary Shrine, good stuff. Make sure you get that, and you have until the 14th of November again to save up that amount, which might mean you want to delay hatching so you can like save up gems to get the shrine, to get some bonus gems to then use on the hatching later in the anniversary. So that's the Fortune Shrine. We also got a free legendary, which I'll talk about in a little bit when we get to it. But yeah, everyone gets their hands on this legendary, and then we get the 2 Neo tickets. Now the Neo tickets, if you don't know them from previous years, basically it's a legendary of your choice and a mythic of your choice. The ones that you can get with these are the standard pool ones. So let's go over to the monster shop at the top here. It's got the 10th anniversary special, and it's got the 2 Neo ticket pages, the red ticket and the green ticket. So of the mythics here, really interestingly, I'm pretty sure they just messed up with this. Normally it's the standard, all the standard pool mythics, excluding the new ones that were added this anniversary. So last year we had everything that was standard pool up to the 9th anniversary, and if you didn't know already, they do the egg pool changes at the anniversaries, so we get some new stuff in. Now this year, for some reason, it has everything up to the 9th anniversary. It doesn't have the new the mythics that were added in the 9th anniversary. Instead it has the mythics that were added in the 10th anniversary just now. So I think they messed up. I think they added the wrong mythics into here. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Here are our options. We just pick from these options. But it's kind of funny that they did that. So the difference to last year for the mythics is this first page and then going into like the first 6 on this page. Those first few monsters are the ones that are new this year that weren't in there last year, and then the rest of it is all the other ones previously. So what I said last year pretty much still stands. In terms of what the best ones are to go for. The only difference is that Yukihime has been buffed a bunch since then. So last year, looking through them, I basically recommended the two best ones were Bastia and Megaviathan. And I ultimately suggested to get Mecangeline, because it's more kind of versatile and easy to use. Bastia is a bit more kind of like for people who have a very large collection. That said, Mecangeline, there are other stronger monsters now, and I'm not super convinced that it is like as good compared to some of the other options, and mainly because Yukihime got buffed so much. So Mecangeline is still a good choice if you want something, you know, that is a support monster that can also be a sweeper. Nemesis Annihilate is just an insane move when it lines up. Dealing with Protectors and Death Revenge monsters, it's just brutal. And then you've got this Void Double Blood Crave. This whole thing's tanky. If you've got a robot monster, it's like crazily tanky. It's got synergy with the Swifted Assist Overall, which like can work with, for example, Coretta or other things that if they can accelerate it. And then the Purifying Rain is just an insane move, like that heal, purify and stealth your team when this has got whole ground. If it's tanky, like, what it can do is very, very good. And in PvE especially, it's very strong. In PvP, you do want to get a kill lined up, but there are things that can put a protection to the enemy team that then makes it very good. All that to say, Mecangeline, very strong monster, a solid choice, but not what I'm recommending this year. Just to talk about the new monsters for a second that were added to this, I think the ones on this screen, so we're looking at those first 6, many of them are good, but I don't think they're like the top choice, and they're also not very good in their second form, so I wouldn't necessarily go for those. First page here, again, there's a couple here, particularly Hanari, I would say is very, very strong. She's also pretty good in the second form, but I would mostly say, while they're good, they're kind of maybe Mecangeline good, or like for, you know, I'm talking about good for getting for your overall collection and stuff. So they're not necessarily like as stand out as Bastia and Yukihime. That said, Gorgodrake in second form is very, very strong. It's not quite as good as the final form. The main problem being the chance of death. If you look at the bottom right here, they're playing with fire is 19%, and that does happen quite a bit. In the final form it's 13%, and then you can use the secret skill to get to 8%. And basically this can die on its first turn annoyingly highly. It will sometimes happen when you really don't want it to happen, but ultimately it can double kill every 60 seconds, and you just need to use it with auto poison, and then it's a crazy sweeper. For 12 cost, this is a really strong monster, a very solid choice. I think the best second form monster of all the choices. So if you don't have any of these mythics, you're not looking at awakening them or whatever, like getting a Gorga Wing is a really solid choice. It should serve you very well. But if you're looking at awakening something, Bastia and Yukihime are probably the best choices. Bastia is a little bit awkward to run because you can't use entrances with her, but there's so many strong entrances in the game. And it's just so good at countering a lot of what people are doing in PvP. In PvE, it can turn the game into like just almost easy mode because there's so much it negates. This is one of my favourite forms of stun protection for PvP because so much of stun is just from entrances, that she basically works as stun protection. Not quite as strong as she used to be because being tanky and shielding and stuff, like, it doesn't do as much as it used to because there's lots of piercing around. But the fact that there's those entrances that she cancels, like she's still doing very well and is a good choice. But Yukihime, she is one of the best mythics in the game, absolutely crazily strong. The one risk I think there is with her is that she might be nerfed, because they buffed her reasonably recently, like in the last year, and I don't think she's been sort of popular enough to kind of like make it so obvious how busted she is. But yeah, her speed is low but not crazily low. She's tanky stats, got a shield, so quite tricky to kill before she gets a turn, and if she gets a turn she just like takes over the game. Because the secret skill, you put something to sleep forever, you can then put something else to sleep again immediately on that first turn. So we're talking putting 2 enemies to sleep immediately. And bear in mind also the secret skill will purify them first, so if they're poisoned or whatever, it doesn't matter. You just remove the poison, you put them to sleep, and then you put something else to sleep. And that will then die after 100 seconds, which doesn't matter if Yukihime is still on the battlefield, it only matters do they get purified. But obviously you just put 2 things to sleep, you can probably put to sleep their Purifier. It only really matters about like sleep immunity or whatever. But putting them to sleep for 100 seconds, then them dying is way better than just killing them, because they sit there on the battlefield until the time has passed, and Yukihime gets a turn almost immediately to then kill the next thing that enters or put that to sleep. Icicle Prison does great control in some situations, and then Void Blood Fury is just great, because Void in this day and age, there's so many powerful revenges. She's a good sweeper. So crazy control from the first turn and good sweeping. She is one of the top mythics, and yeah, if you're looking to awaken her, the near ticket can be a really good choice for that. Moving on to legendaries, there's a stupidly large number of options. The differences here between last year are the first page and the last page. Other than that, it's all the same. The advice remains basically the same. I'd recommend you go read my forum guide to read through things, because I'm not going to go through it all. Basically, Aura Dragon is the best choice if you don't have Aura Dragon, because Aura Dragon is just one of the best PvE monsters. Reviving everything that dies at the back of your team gives you so much combo potential. Well, it's not even combo potential, it's just value potential. So yeah, you want to get Aura Dragon if you don't have Aura Dragon. Otherwise, there's various good choices for PvE, like the Crescendo monsters, like Polar Boss. Leogeist, I mentioned earlier on, has gone from some egg pools, so it may not be so easy to get. If you want a stun counter, this is a way to get one. And Wraith Captain was also there, as similarly mentioned. I really like Griff King. I think Griff King is a brilliant support monster that works as great stun protection in PvP as well. There's a lot you can do that, you can loop turns as well to do combo stuff in PvE. It's just a really, really good monster all round. Very underplayed by people as well. And then in terms of the new ones that are added, Glorionyx has some niche case use, but really Dracarosa here, with the Petal Blizzard, and otherwise the synergy that she has with Blossomite and Sanguine Nymph, is incredibly powerful. This creates a really, really strong setup for doing stuff in PvE, especially if you're a newer player, you don't have loads of options for doing strong stuff. This is a brilliant combo. These were literally just buffed with Vigorous Stance as well, which is a super defense buff. So this combo is very, very strong. So that could be a great option for some people. And then otherwise, Tortogeist is a really good value monster that works in kind of high level play. I'd say not so useful for newer players, but when you're in the late game, it's just really good at for heavily buffed content and for PvP when people are just playing those mythics. If they don't have Void, this Revenge is amazing, and it's kind of a Protector Stun Absorber. So yeah, those are the options to consider there. The other free stuff you can grab, so they added a load into the achievements, in particular the PvP achievements, and also hero rank. So they added a bunch more stuff in here, which ultimately ends up in being, it's loads of 6-star tickets, as you can see, and then going over to the wins, you get loads of gems. So I can't remember the exact number that I got from this, but it's a lot of gems. You can see loads of gems here. Now I've been around for a long time. When they brought this out, it had wins at 0, which is why my wins are so low compared to my battles done. So if you haven't been around for years, obviously you can't just jump in here and get loads of gems. But do note that there is that's going to be free stuff you get. The hero rank, they added in things for the 5s basically, so 25, 35, 45, so egg tickets at these other ones. So there's a bunch of free stuff to grab from that. That's obviously very nice, and I didn't include that in the guide that I referenced because it wasn't technically for the anniversary, it was in the game update. But anyway, there's that free stuff to grab. And then in terms of the anniversary festival eggs, so this the way they all work, there's 12 of them in total, and they give the 10th pack as a guaranteed mythic. That is the same for all of them. So even though, this new one we're looking at, it's got the new monsters in, it's all exciting and flashy, actually, this is just the same as this other one that's featuring Fixian and some legendaries in it. They're all the same. It's really much more about what is the mythic in it, more than anything else, and what are the legendaries in it. And so you shouldn't be drawn in just by the new flashy monster. Really what you should be doing is trying to wait and see how wait for the more of them to come out, and then pick which is the best mythic to go for in that. I mean, I've saved up like 8,000 gems here, so I'm hoping to go for multiple, but at the end of the day, I can't get all of them. Like, I can't get all 12 of that, so I'm going to have to select which ones I want to go for. In terms of which ones are going to appear, I'm going to give you my list for what I think are most likely. This is given on, like, we know they don't release these, most recently released mythics. We know it's not going to be standard pool. We know it's probably not going to be anything that's been featured recently. So people on Discord and the forum have been able to come up with some predictions, and I'm basically voicing that, plus with my own sort of insight. So this is the list I'm going to give for what I think is most likely. So we obviously know that Vixian is on there. I will try to find these as I talk through them. So we know that Vixian is out already. Then also Road Knight is featured in the Mythic Colosseum. So that's basically probably going to be there on Monday. There are 10 of these that I'm going to try and predict here, because obviously 2 of the 12 are the new ones. Beyond that, it's most likely going to be Nyx and Momo. These were ones that were shown in some kind of like promotional anniversary art somewhere. So they are likely going to be in it. I can't find Nyx now. These two are both very good. And then beyond that, it gets a little bit more sketchy in terms of the predictions, but I would expect Vixen Blade, and Coretta, Majory, and Prismegasus. Those ones I would say are probably the most likely ones. Beyond that, Vixen Blade is very powerful. Coretta's cool, but not necessarily very strong. And then Majory is known as one of the worst, but keeps getting buffs. Prismegasus, very exciting monster. If I can find it in here, I have no idea where it is actually. It's an incredibly powerful Link monster that actually like kind of enables Link in a very strong way. So, basically allows you to do it when you wouldn't be able to otherwise. Beyond that, my guesses are Honghua, Sakuralisk, Onika, and Atlanachia. Those ones I'm slightly less sure on, partly because when I looked at last year on what was featured, they seem to go for waifu, so there may be a higher chance of them picking waifu rather than things like this Sakuralisk. So if they do that, they may go for Abyssibdia and Fossildrake Maeve, but I don't know. At the end of the day, it's all just predictions. I don't really know. I'm just putting them out there because if you are trying to figure out, should I wait longer or should I go for the current ones, is this the best choice for me? Those are probably the names that are floating around that are potential ones that could be coming. Top ones from that, Momo is ridiculously good. I highly recommend that. Interestingly on this list is a bunch of stun counter monsters. So we're likely going to get at least one, probably 2 stun counter monsters. Momo is the most kind of generic for that. But then also Onika is a good one there that could be one you want to go for. So those are my mythic predictions. I don't really know if that will be the case. There are other ones that were floating around like Prixis. I think Prixis is maybe a little too recent, but it could be on there. Actually, it's further back than I thought. Maybe it has a chance. But like Isildel, I'm pretty sure that's too recent. And there's a couple of other names that are like too recent monsters that I don't think they're going to actually be featured. So anyway, that's my predictions. Do with that what you will. Similarly, do with that what you will with the shop bundle stuff. In the guide, which I reference and link to in the description, I break things down a little bit about kind of how good these offers are and stuff, but ultimately I'm not going to get involved in your spending. You make the decisions for yourself. There are these offers in the shop. They're fairly standard at this point, so nothing too like flashy of what's going on here. The Stellar ticket, this is for like the guaranteed mythic thing. Again, I'm not really going to go into too much detail on which guaranteed mythic egg do you want to go for. They're just like each of the elements, and it's like they're the limited ones in that element. So your choice whether you want to go for that stuff. There's some extra details in the guide thread. What I'll talk about at the end here, because I think I've basically covered everything that's going on, is just the new monsters. So firstly, there was the legendary, which we all get. Now, as I said, this is awkward to evolve. It takes a lot of ingredients, and it's not very good. Not too surprising, because it was given away for free. Like most years, they've given us like a 3-star monster or something, and it's been like some meme monster like that nobody uses. So the fact they gave us a legendary this year is kind of cool. And this monster is directly taken from Evertail, which was going to be Near Monsters 2, but they decided that actually Near Monsters was successful enough that they would continue Near Monsters and they make Evertail its own thing. So Evertail uses a slightly different variant of the combat that Near Monsters has. They tried to develop it in some ways and otherwise rebalance it in some ways. So this monster here, it's kind of like the equivalent of Leobold that we get at the beginning of the game. It pretty much exactly is that one. So the two artwork pieces at the beginning here, these are kind of artwork from Evertail. And then this last artwork, you can see the color difference is kind of different. It's like shading's different. That's because it's actually kind of promo art for the game. This is what it was in that. So that's why what we got the artwork from, and you can see the secret skill is literally called Evertail. But yeah, the moveset here is almost exactly the same as what it has in Evertail, with Poison Eater, because strangely it has Poison Touch but no Poison Eater. It's switched the Poison Eater to Bond Bloodthirst. Don't know why exactly, but anyway, Guardian Demise, this is pretty much what it has in Evertail. And then Stun Entry, this is an example of what they did to rebalance the stun mechanic in Evertail. So in Near Monsters, Shocking Entrance was just like standard in the game, and it's so oppressive, stunning all the enemies. So they changed it to instead be stuff like this, where it stuns one random enemy. You also saw this like around a similar time they released Zeus Worm, which has that similar kind of entrance in Near Monsters. They ultimately didn't go down that route, they stayed with the way stunning entrance works in Near Monsters, but this is how they did it in Evertail. And then as, the stun revenge. So that's like some stun stuff, randomly got Poison Touch, which, doesn't make too much sense with the no Poison Eater. And then it's got Guardian Demise to like really counter protectors, but it needs 2 kills for the Blonde Bloodthirst, so a bit awkward to get that. The one really good thing about this is the secret skill is like a 100-second, no questions asked, kill an enemy that's probably the enemy you want to kill. That is very good. So it can get 1 kill really easily, but beyond that, it really needs an enemy protector to be able to get a piercing kill, and then it can bond Bloodthirst. You want to have it fully bonded, which strangely newer players can't do, so it's not kind of like a new player monster because they can't fully bond it. But anyway, it's bad, but some people might make use of it, and it's better than, getting a random 3-star monster, and it's a nice kind of little reference to Evertail. So that's what's going on with that. And then as for the new monsters in the Anniversary Egg, the legendary here, Pyramid Golems, the Pyramid Golem Obelisk, is for the Super Epic Pyramid Golems. This one looks really good. It looks more balanced than the recent ones that we've got, where we got, I say recent, it's like a year ago now, but the one for the Elfin Dragon Kaiser, and the one for the Crystal Worms, the Calamitas. Those two are very, very strong. Kaiser was just like ridiculously broken with what it did, that had to be nerfed, and then now people moan that it's not strong enough. I think it's actually fine and balanced how it is. Calamitas is verging on a little too strong. I think it's basically too strong for most of the people in the game, but that the top players don't have problems with it. So it's sort of balanced, but not really for the most of the player base, that it ends up being super popular. I don't know if they're going to nerf it at some point, but anyway, point is, those were very, very strong. This one, I think they've struck the right balance of making it actually balanced. So it's tanky, it's got decent speed. The main thing is it double loads the Pyramid Golems, so it supports them really well. They all have like really fast moves, and the problem is they have to like load each other and then do those moves. This guy is gonna be loading all of them so they can keep attacking really, really quickly, which is great. And I said that as like the main thing. Actually, the main thing is it triples their stats. So there's the 2 of them in particular, which they have damage moves that just don't scale up well to mythics. But when they've got triple stats and they do triple damage, then the damage is really, really good. So those 2 suddenly become good damage dealers. The others then all do, really good damage as well with any attacking move they do. And the defense buff here, if you HP boost them, they have HP like mythics. So with this massive defense buff, they then become super tanks, and they all have hold ground. The Shadow one heals them. This one can also heal and shield them, as well as purify. So they should tank really, really well. And I think the way this is probably going to play out is that in some matchups it's going to fall apart and not do particularly well, but in other ones it will hold control super well and just become this impenetrable wall. So that's what I think, and I think probably for newer players this will feel oppressively strong, but for the vast majority of players it will feel more balanced. And yeah, I'm excited to see this because I love the pyramid golems. I think they're really fun, and this should make them viable in this day and age. So yeah, should be fun. It's also got gravity field, so you can't just like knock this back and mess things up. And then they all have like this way of like making it awkward to kill. So the Abyss Soldier guy, Poseidon, he's camouflage and tanky. The Kaiser can't be targeted, that one is horrible. Calamitas is camouflage, tanky, and unbreakable shield, which is also very difficult to deal with. This one, I think they've got the right kind of balance here, where basically it will revive if it's killed. So you can't just like target and kill it and take it apart. You have to do a void kill. And yeah, if you can void kill, the strategy kind of falls apart because then the pyramid golems aren't anywhere near as strong. But if you can't void kill it, then you've actually got to kill the others first before you can kill the legendary. So yeah, pretty cool. Got like an obvious counter to it, and then if you don't meet that counter, then it should be pretty solid. And like I said, you know, you do the loading, you do the healing. It's got like a piercing retribution move, which sticks around if the others are taken out. This can't be left around because it can do the retribution. In fact, what you want to do when you face it is you want to leave them with like one pyramid golem teammate, because then this can't load it. So because it needs there to be two pyramid golems. I think that also matters a lot for team building, that you don't have stun protection or much sleep protection with the pyramid golems. So you want to be, you need that sort of fourth slot as like a stun protection or something like that, which really restricts what you can do with the pyramid golems, and should make it a lot more balanced for team building. So yeah, when you face it, you probably want to leave them with like one pyramid golem and this legendary, and then basically leave it at that. It is, however, going to be doing this 100 second piercing retribution. So yeah, really cool design. I like it a lot. I think it should be balanced and should be fun. In PvE, it should be very strong because it's kind of easier to get that wall going. The Storm one has like a sleep move, so you can like sleep some, and then it gets even easier to control the enemies and keep them all alive. So yeah, should be fun. The Mythic. Now, this is complicated and it's more niche than I think most people would like. Most people get excited by the anniversary. They really want the new Mythic to be some overpowered thing and everything. That's not what this is. This is not a PvP monster either. So for the PvP crowd, they'll read this and they'll just be like, it's too clunky, it's not going to work and stuff. This is more specifically for PvE, and I would say for heavily buffed content. However, if you have certain synergy pieces, you can do stuff with it elsewhere. So I did a full breakdown on the forum. I don't want to go into like massive detail here. I think I'll talk about it more when I'm hatching next week, because you know there's time when I'm hatching when I can talk about stuff. So, but I'll go into some detail here. What it basically does is it has these two mirror revenge passives. So the thing that kills it, you get 2 copies of. That is basically the main like good thing about it. And since it can clone itself with the secret skill, you can get kind of like 4 mirror revenges out of it pretty easily, in PvE at least. So 4 mirror revenges is really, really good when the enemies are buffed lots, and that's why I think it's basically where it does best. Beyond that, the moves are a little bit awkward. It does this sort of like making it so the next turn an enemy gets, it gets set to 1 HP, and then it can like finishing snap it, which is void killing. If you can otherwise get enemies down to less than 30% HP, you can like very, very quickly kill them. There isn't much that can do that in the game, like reliably, but Wulala is like an amazing thing to combine with this, because she just like wipes out enemies' HP, gets them all into low HP, so then you can last kiss them, and that's just like brutal if you can do that, but that's like a specific synergy. The awkward thing about putting the enemies to 1 HP is that they still get that turn. And what you'll find in practice is most of the time you want to stop an enemy from getting a turn. Like, there's a problem enemy, you need to kill it. If you try and kill it with this monster, it will not die. It will get a turn, get to do its thing, and then you kill it afterwards. And that is just so much more awkward. Also, because you put them to 1 HP, they can then potentially kill Daiji here. And then Daiji gets 2 mirror revenges of the 1 HP enemy, which then may be easy for the opponent to take out. So I don't think it's going to work too well in PvP, mostly for that reason, is that it's too easy to abuse that Mirror Revenge to not actually give the Daiji user much value out of it. But yeah, the other thing about it is it uses max HP, which makes it a little bit clunky because you basically use up your HP to do the different moves, and then you need to reset it by killing a random monster, which is if you really don't want to be pressed to use because it can just backfire. That yeah, it's not ideal. But yeah, in PvE, looks really good. One of the things you really want to synergize, use with it is ways to heal it. Partly so you can like keep using its moves, but partly because also the secret skill that makes a clone of it comes in with 1 HP. So it can't clone itself without just killing itself off. So ideally you want to heal that clone without having to do the like kill a random monster, so that then you can clone it again, and then you can, you know, keep that cloning going. If you can revive this with anything, you know, think about, like, for example, you can use Arachnodiva to turn it into a protector with Scapegoat, and then you have a Nephthys, so that when it dies, you get a full HP copy at the back of your team. Like, you can do stuff with that to, like, get multiple copies of this, get loads of Mirror Revenge. That's the kind of stuff you can do in heavily buffed content that will work really well. And yeah, outside of that, you want to have specific combos that heal it, or it's like a Wulala or something like that to get the most out of it. But I don't see this being like a meta PvP monster at all. Anyway, it's a very cool and interesting monster, and I'd expect the next monster we get, the one that comes out next week, will probably be a PvP monster. I think there's generally speaking, that's been a trend in recent years, that they bring out like one PvE monster, one PvP monster at the anniversary. So that's what I'm expecting. Anyway, that's enough rambling from me. I hope you've enjoyed this talk through the anniversary of the new monsters, choices with a Neo ticket, all that kind of stuff, the free stuff you can grab. Yeah, really cool what's going on. I hope you have a good time with it, and best of luck with your hatches if you do them before I catch you next week. But otherwise, yeah, I'll see you in that video next week when I do my hatching. Thanks again.